Okay, so welcome to a slightly different video from the ones we normally do. This is an insight into our commercial side of the business, specifically for pool, billiards, snooker halls, where Josh and I jumped on the train, went down to go and see Nigel, the owner of Spots and Stripes. They're a really high-end, high-profile pool hall in London, in Southwark, and they've got another venue they've just opened up in Redhill. And Nigel was really generous with his time, gave us lots of advice for similar types of businesses, what his challenges have been, what his strategies have been, and he's got a fantastic performance. So hopefully you find this beneficial, and we'll do some more again in the future. Okay, so we are at Spots and Stripes in London. Here's Nigel. Nigel,
good to meet you, Andy.
Great to meet you.
Yeah.
Great to meet you. Thanks for having us down. And the aim really is just to try and get the background of your club, how you got started, what's working for you, what's successful, what advice you'd give to other pool hall operators. So I guess the best thing to do is to start off with, how did you get started?
How did I start? Well, I've always played English pool. Played for London for over, 30 years. Yeah, it is that long. And I used to have a pub across the road, which had one pool table in. And I always wanted to create a venue for London to play in. Because we always used to either play very north or very south, nothing central.
Right.
I used to train down the road in the arches, and I was like, an arch, what a great idea. Like, you've got no posts in your way to like put tables. It's like, so yeah, the club was born out of that. I chased the arches for about 3 years, and thought, right, let's give it a go. Let's put some pool tables in an arch. And
so how long ago was this?
It will actually be our 14th birthday in about a week's time. So yeah, it's scary to think it's that.
Yeah.
That
so
long
you've got
ago.
2 spaces at the moment, but you started off with the one that we're in now.
Yeah, we've got 2 arches now, but we started off with one.
Yeah.
So this was the main one, obviously bar, and then we started off with just 8 English tables in here. So we had 6 downstairs and 2 up top.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately at the time wasn't enough for what I wanted to do. So we had to reconfigure the med staircase to get an extra 2 in.
Yeah.
So it was all born from there, really.
Yeah. And now you've got the unit that's next door. So how long have you been in there as well?
The unit next door, we went in 2017.
Okay.
More because demand, and having only 10 tables at the time, and I could just see that where the landlords were putting up the rent, I was like, I need to generate more revenue.
Right.
And the way for me to generate more revenue was
get more people in.
Get more people in,
Yeah.
be bigger, have more tables, potentially have more dartboards. And so that's where the move into there. And we started off with a mix of pool tables and dartboards.
Yep.
We quickly realised that the 2 didn't really want to mix. So we had to separate them, because what they do is, like, the darts guys would end up going back to the table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, people try and play a shot. So it was like, right, let's rethink this.
Yeah.
And so we ended up putting more tables in there and bringing the darts back in here, underneath the arch. And then really COVID hit us.
Okay. So what happened during COVID? Other than it being really painful?
I mean, it was extremely painful, because basically we couldn't trade for just shy of 2 years. It was like about 18 months, where you could open for a little bit, but then close down, or the restrictions, or the good old Scotch egg, the old substantial meal thing, which we found out actually, but Tesco's are better than M&S ones, just in case you want to go out there. But,
Experience.
yeah, so coming out of COVID, and the landlords gave me a bill, massive bill, 150 grand of rent due for being closed during COVID. And they wanted it kind of all within 2 years, which, coming out of COVID, the business couldn't sustain that. So I actually ended up packing everything, all the tables up, into an HGV lorry, and parking it up. And the club was like kind of closed for, probably about 3 months, I think it was. Which was very scary. But in that time, I got an entry into the UK Open at the Copper Box, 9-ball.
Yep.
Something I'd never played before, but I got kind of introduced it when I had the USA and England friendly match here before the Moscone Cup a couple of years before. So I thought, I've got nothing to do, let's go and have a go at that. Phoned a mate up and said, I need a cue, how do I play 9-ball, never played it before. He went, come down, I'll show you. Went over there, played it, loved it. And I went, where's the tables of this quality in London? And he went, well, there isn't any. And I went, kind of a little light bulb went in my head then. It's like, this could be an opportunity. So I thought if I reopen here or wherever I reopen, I've got to look into getting some quality American tables in.
Yeah.
And I did eventually end up coming back in here and straight away contacted Home Leisure and started off with two Rassons. And the interest from those two Rassons just, honestly, it amazed me.
Really? So why didn't that happen then? What do you think the interest was?
I think because 9-ball was getting more prevalent and more on TV,
Yeah.
and then people were looking at the quality of the tables. With having the Rassons there, we was getting phone calls of like, have you really got Rassons in there? We've seen them on your website. I'd really love to play on one of those tables because I've only seen them on the TV.
Yeah.
I've never actually
Yeah.
seen one in person.
Yeah.
So the interest just kind of exploded from there, and obviously it attracted the better quality like 9-ball players wanting to play on them. Because then they were getting a chance to enter, I think, more competitions with Matchroom.
Yeah.
So then they wanted to try and play on the same kind of tables, and they weren't available anywhere else. So it quickly became clear that I needed to get more, which was a big roll of the dice because they're not cheap.
No.
You know, so it was a massive gamble, but I think it's a gamble that really paid off.
Yeah. Because you started off with the two and they were in there.
Yeah.
And then what was the transition you made with those two and what you've done in here?
The transition, what we did was the two in there, then so they were these two.
Yep.
And then I got a third victory in. And then we used to have two English tables this way as well. And then it quickly realised from going from 2 to 3 that we probably needed 4 or 5.
Really? Wow.
And because we went, if you get to 4, you can start to run a bit of a tournament, a little knockout.
Yep.
Whereas with 3, it was a bit hard.
Yeah.
So then it was quickly, I was like, okay, we upgraded to 2 more in here. So we went to 5 downstairs.
And then you got 2 more.
And then the Moscone Mez was born when I spoke to Ben, and he said, oh, we've got these tables that we use at the Moscone. And I'm like, oh.
Yep.
Another little light bulb went off in my head. I'm like thinking, this would be great. And I actually had the USA team were coming over again to play at the Ali Pali.
Yep.
Because they'd been here before, they wanted to come here to practice.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, you can practice in the brand new Moscone Mez.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
You've had other people come and practice here as well, haven't you? Who's sort of famous names?
Famous names playing pool. Andy Goldstein from TalkSport.
Yeah.
Last year contacted me he came down here doing a few drills with him for the US Open.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I remember him from playing on the English tour, the UK tour, years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
What was he doing then?
Because I knew he could play the game.
Yeah.
Because I knew a lot of people were chatting that he's just he's going to have a go, another celebrity having a go at playing a sport that he doesn't know a lot about. But no, he's a good cutest.
He really does.
And I knew he was. And when he come down, we had some really good fun sessions before we went out there. Mate, probably didn't go as well as he wanted when he was out there.
He didn't get lucky with the draw, did he?
No. And you could see with that first round draw that
so tough.
Yeah.
So tough.
But he's going to be back in it this year.
Yeah.
He contacted me the other week. He wants to start training camp again.
Yeah.
Because he's going to play UK Open and US Open this year. So
really good.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk more about GB9 and tournaments when we go down to Red Hill.
Yeah.
So in terms of here, then, just thinking about your customer base, you sort of talked about how busy it's been with American tables.
Yeah.
Is that all serious players or more social players? What's your sort of mix?
It's probably a mix of 80-20 in favour of the social players.
Okay.
We run a 9-ball singles league, which is predominantly upstairs, but downstairs it's all social players.
Okay.
Which it's a flip side because before COVID it would have been more local business. Now we've seen since COVID it's a lot more social groups coming out and playing in the evening.
Okay.
And having a drink.
Why do you think there's that change then?
I think it's a massive change from COVID of where I think people want to come out, but they don't want to just sit in a pub.
Yeah.
I think they got tired of that. Maybe it was just they sat at home.
Yeah.
Whereas now they want to, when they come out, they want to do something.
Yeah.
Whether it's playing pool, darts, ping pong, golf.
So is it sort of groups coming out and just occupying one or
Yeah,
one table?
generally we're getting sort of like more groups of like 5 or 6 around one table.
Okay.
Which was really my business model from the start.
Yeah.
Of if you could get 5 or 6 people around one table, you're going to earn enough revenue out of that one table to make it.
And that's
into a
from the
business.
wet sales?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of your sort of mix of profitability, if you don't mind just sort of sharing,
Yeah.
how does it sort of split between income from tables and income from wet?
We're round about between sort of like 70-30, 75-25, around those lines.
Of wet
being the predominant,
wet, yeah.
and then like the table hire being behind that.
That's very strong, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in terms of your charging model for the tables then, what sort of prices do you charge, and is that based around sort of time of day, day of the
Yeah,
week?
we do different offers during the day. So firstly, what we do is the standard rate is £15 an hour for anyone that just walks in off the street.
Okay. And is that any table, English or American?
Yeah, any
Just the
table.
same?
We just do the same rate.
15 quid.
Yeah, 15 quid for the tables. Then if they pay £30 a year membership, they get that rate down to £10 an hour.
Okay.
But then what we do is we give them an offer Monday to Friday, 12 till 5. It's only £5 an hour, so 50% off.
Okay.
And on a Monday evening, it's 50% off as well.
Okay.
So
peak time?
peak time, it would be £10 an hour for a member.
Okay.
Or
So
£15.
that is really good value though, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I have people say that it's too cheap.
Yeah.
But then I think if you try and squeeze too much out of it,
Yeah.
you're not going to get it. I mean, I kind of base it around it. If you can earn, my kind of ethos is £100 per table per night, then that's a business model that you can work with.
Yeah. Because I think if you try to squeeze that by £2 an hour, your perception is, well, that's quite expensive.
Yeah.
Whereas you actually just want to get people in
Yeah.
around a table then, don't you?
Yeah.
So having that headline price is what drives.
Yeah, and quite a lot of people, when they go to other like darts or ping like that, it's per person. And a lot of people come in and go, oh, is that £10-15 per person? When you say, no, that's for the table, they're like,
Oh, that's good.
that's good value. And I think then maybe they have that extra round of drinks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think rather than trying to, they look at it and the initial rental for the table is too pricey, they come in, oh, that's reasonable, then you get the revenue from the extra round of drinks. So
Yeah, makes sense. Any future plans for here then? Have you got anything on the agenda or?
do you know what? We just introduced this bar box table.
Yeah. Step out of the
last
way.
week. So the 7-foot version of the baby brother to the big
ox.
9-foot on the ox. I think this could be, my manager here, Joe, he goes and plays in the Ultimate Pool events over in the USA.
Right.
He's got to 3 finals on the spin. And I wanted to give him a table to practice on. And I think it could be a big growth.
Yeah.
Because business-wise, for me, I could get, in this space, I could get 8 of these as opposed to 5 of the 9-foots.
Okay.
So when you go from 5 tables up to 8 tables, the revenue is obviously going to increase.
Do you think the customers are going to want to play on that as much as they would on the larger tables?
See, I think the social customers are going to love this more.
Yeah, because it's easier.
Because it's a bit easier, it's a bit smaller. So I actually think, for me, this could be the way forward. Of
So what's been the
this.
reaction to this table from your customers then? Have they
all love it.
They do, okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's only been here a week, but already you're seeing the interest in it. It's like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Especially the social player, it's more playable. But then you've also got the English pool guys that really want to have a go of playing on it.
Yeah.
Because they fancy going to America.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Because they've seen what Joe's done over there.
Yeah.
So like, I think this could be a very big explosion.
Yeah, it's
of these
interesting,
tables.
isn't it? I mean, Ultimate really have sort of changed the game, haven't they? And
Yes.
really increased the interest. So how have you done with your Apollos?
Very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Apollos, you can just see how much better made they are than what we've always had in the industry, you know. And the playability and just the look of them, the players, everyone that sees them, it's a bit like the Rasson. When they see an ox like that, they want to play on it.
Yeah.
When they see the Apollo, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's different. I want to play on it.
It's a step up.
Yeah.
And have you had the feedback in terms of playability that they've noticed the difference?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's much better the bounce off the rails is just,
Yeah.
it's totally different. It's so much more like one of these.
And that was the thing when we designed it, when we engineered it, was to take what you'd get in a professional grade American table and put it into English pool, because nobody was doing it.
Yeah.
So it's good feedback.
Yeah,
Good
you
feedback.
can see that straight away, because when we got them in and you'd see in the inside, it's just where it's lined. It's attention to detail and the care that's gone into them.
Yeah.
You can see they're not just like thrown together.
No.
No, really good.
Good. Brilliant. Well, look, thanks for showing all of this. This is basically part one. Part two we're going to do down in Red Hill.
Yeah.
So we'll nip down there now.
Okay.
And we'll be right back.
Lovely.